I have a 31-year-old daughter. How the I'm gonna be 45?
But what if I don't just marry any Filipina? What if I just marry your mom?
I was under the impression that Brian and Loren couldn't get any worse, but oh god, did they surprise me. Hello everyone and welcome back to Chisme Corner. Today we are going to be talking about the latest episode of Before the 90 Days. Let's start with Magda and Joey. I would go ahead and put timestamps for you guys in case you want to skip to a different segment. Joe and Magda are on their way to the apartment they're going to be sharing for the next couple of days, and on their way there, Joe shares with us that the connection he feels for Magda has only intensified. He feels like they're boyfriend and girlfriend, which I already thought you guys were. That was the whole reason why she was so mad at you sleeping with another girl, because you guys were together.
Why do you call her Magda? Is it Magda or Magda?
I don't know. It's a little confusing.
I feel like it's only confusing to you because you haven't spent enough time actually learning her real name.
I guess it just rolls off the tongue easier for me. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, but rolling off the tongue is not a good excuse for you to use a different name for your significant other. Well, Joe struggles the entire time going up the stairs. Magda shares with us that she actually doesn't care that he calls her by a different name because she loves him. Props to her for not caring, but I would care. My name is my name. It was given to me for a reason, and I would appreciate if you could at least respect that.
I can sleep here, you can sleep there.
What?
Best to sleep in separate rooms.
Once they arrive at the apartment, Magda also takes the time to remind him that they're not going to be sleeping in the same bedroom, and thankfully the apartment they got has 2 bedrooms.
Sure you don't want to skip?
While Joe and Magda adventure around Poland, Joe takes his time to ask her if he's actually going to have to sleep in a separate bedroom. She thinks that tonight is not the night. She definitely wants more time to feel more comfortable with him.
Since we have no air conditioning, I feel like if we huddle together...
Joe tries to convince Magda by telling her that they should share body heat with each other because there's no air conditioner, so that's going to make the room colder, which makes no sense.
How can she be ready for all that without knowing if we're physically compatible?
Joe does wonder what Magda's purpose is because she's so adamant about having kids, about getting married, about moving to the US with him, and the fact that she doesn't even know if they're physically compatible makes him doubt their relationship, because he's just like, you know, how are we going to know that this is going to work out if we haven't even been physically intimate with one another? And I think everyone has their own opinion in regards to that. I definitely am of the belief of you gotta test before you buy, but there is people out there that they want to wait until marriage, you know, and that's not something that you should be ashamed of. That is something that you should wear with pride. So if that is what Magda wants to do at the end of the day, that is her decision, and if Joe cannot deal with that, then that's his answer. You need to move on.
Wake up me when you wake up, okay? Good night.
Joey says that sleeping in separate rooms felt like they were best friends and not really a couple. He says that this is something he has to get used to. He tries to say that this is also a decision that he's making on his own, which in reality is a decision that Magda made, and you just have to be okay with that.
And I don't want to have sex until proposed, maybe.
And now the narrative has changed because Magda is saying that she doesn't want to have sex until he proposes. But initially she had said that she didn't want to have sex until they get married. Now Joe is like, come on, are you being serious? Like, sex is so important to me.
What if we're not sexually compatible?
It's not the most important thing.
It's pretty important.
I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in regards to that. Do you guys see sex as being, you know, a priority in a relationship? Is that like your second, your third, the last, you don't even care for it?
He broke my trust when he slept with another girl.
One thing that I feel is a problem between these two is the fact that Joey has already lied in the past. He has cheated in the past.
I just want to see in his eyes he's telling the truth, but I'm scared.
She wants to know everything that happened with that girl. So She's gonna bring it up later, and Joey has to answer honestly because that conversation is going to be the deciding factor as to whether they are intimate or not. Joey and Magda go to a making pretzel class, and Joey spends the entire time making sex jokes.
It's a nice sized penis.
Babe,
Grow up, Magna.
me?
Honestly, if you're constantly making sex jokes when we are out and about in a public place, in a class where there's a bunch of other people, I do not take you seriously. I think you're a child. And you can tell how annoyed Magda is by his jokes. Like, maybe one, she finds it funny, like the first joke, but after the first one, come on, you gotta cut it off. So they go over to try polished vodka, and by the faces that Joey make is something that I don't necessarily want to try just yet.
This is cool. Having a very good time. The last Polish girl I dated never brought me here.
Definitely did not sit well with Magda because she's about to bring up the fact that he slept with another girl and he's over here making jokes about other girls. This is when Magda tells him that this entire time she has not been able to get that girl out of her head.
In my defense, I had no idea that we were together.
Magda then proceeds to tell him that she decided that she was already engaged before Joey even asked the question.
And I put ring to my left hand so everybody see I'm engaged.
That's just weird. There's no way that I can possibly excuse that, because if Joey was doing the same thing, I would probably be like, dude, that's weird. Why would you do that? Like, she hasn't even said yes and you're already wearing a ring saying that you're engaged to someone. Joey continues to argue with Magda, telling her that he didn't think they were in a relationship because, you know, they never talked about it. Magda now is asking him, why didn't you tell me that you slept with someone else while we were already talking to one another? And of course, Joey says that to him, it wasn't anything important and he would have told her if it was important. You can't pick and choose what's important to your partner just because, you know, you decide that is not important to you.
I would have told you.
When?
I don't know if it was important. It wasn't important to me.
So were you gonna tell her or were you not gonna tell her? Magda is asking Joey when he slept with the other girl.
Beginning of April, like April, first week of April is not your birthday.
She's like, you know, that was around my birthday. And he's like, well, your birthday's not the first week of April. So what I'm getting from all of this is that Joey is lying about how many times he slept with this girl and when he slept with this girl.
You had sex just one time in these 5 months.
Even Magda brings it up, you know, you slept with one girl in the span of 5 months and you can't remember when it happened. Lies, lies, lies. Joey says that it meant nothing to him, which let's see if that is the case.
I try to believe and trust, but it's just hard after all of it.
That's where we left off with those two. Now let's move over to the next couple.
Yeah, you know what? I'm done with this.
As I've said it in the past, Vanja is too much for Bozo, and he's never going to be able to handle a woman like her. After Vanja got dumped, I felt so bad for her when I saw her walked out of the restaurant and just crying so much because she just couldn't understand how a man went from sending her I love you messages, telling her that, you know, he wanted to be with her, to simply dumping her in front of his friends.
The fact that Bozo was introducing me to his friends, I felt like it was a step in the right direction.
Meeting his friends only highlight the fact that these two are not meant to be together.
I was 100% played a fool.
While Vanja is ugly crying outside of the restaurant, Bozo's friends are trying to convince him to bring her back into the place so, you know, they can proceed with the relationship. Bozo has shown that he does not care for her, that he is not attracted to her, that he can't stand her. So why are you guys trying to convince this guy?
Let me ask you something. Would you like her to come back right now?
Bozo tries to explain to his friends that he just can't feel it, that she's just not for him, that he cannot push his feelings.
Lady Brown, not giving her anything. You're not giving her anything.
Or the courtesy of just trying to actually, you know, harvest that love and that connection. He shut down literally hours after meeting her. Bozo starts apologizing to the friends, telling them that he's sorry, whatever. Your sorry means shit to everyone. And his friends tell him, you shouldn't be apologizing to us. You should go apologize to her, which, yes, you should be apologizing to Vanja. You made this woman travel across the world because you made her feel like you wanted to proceed a relationship with her. What do you mean you're not attracted to her? You had already seen her pictures. You had already FaceTimed her all the time. And all of a sudden you realize that you're not attracted to her?
Yeah.
Just don't talk to me.
Can I just...
No, just don't talk to me, Bozo.
She's like, I don't want to talk to you. Please leave me alone. I don't want to hear from you. I know some people are going to say, but she didn't want to talk to him. That's why he left. Shut it. I don't care. I do not care. This man should have gone to her and apologized for what he did. But the first thing that he does when he goes up to her...
you have no idea how bad I feel right now.
Who cares how bad you feel? No one does right now, okay? Save your please feel sorry for me for another day and not today.
Calm down. We will talk, hopefully.
No, we're good.
Otherwise,
we're good.
God bless you all best.
So, of course, because he's not getting what he wants, which is the validation to his feelings, poor little baby, he's like, okay, fine, God bless you. We can talk another day when you're calmed down. You created these feelings. You made her upset.
Do you feel tomorrow better? Will you love me tomorrow night? Will you love me
Once Bozo steps away, he tells the producers that for him, it was a little too much. At times, you know, Vanja was constantly asking him if he was going to love her tomorrow, if he was going to find her attractive tomorrow, and all these questions that he just couldn't answer because he was not attracted to her.
I don't want to be fake over somebody. She deserves 100% devotion.
As we said, as many of us have said, Vanja is too much of a woman for Bozo. And I think he already knew this, and he was trying to lie to himself that, you know, he was going to be okay with her energy and just who she is as a person. And at the end of the day, he ended up hurting her more than if he would have just told her, don't visit me, don't come to see me. Like, I think that's what makes me more frustrated about the situation, is that he led her on. He made her believe that this relationship was gonna go somewhere, when in reality, he knew he was not going to be with her. And that's the part that pisses me off.
Hurting Vanja like this, I don't know if I will ever forgive me.
And I don't think that you should ever forgive yourself for what you did. You broke this woman. She has already been through so much. She treasured her heart for so many years. She kept it in a little box, contained, so no one would damage it. And then the first person that comes into her life to finally treasure that heart breaks it apart. What?
He just rips all that from under my feet and throws it in the garbage. I feel led on.
That she has felt the feeling that a lot of us have felt once in our lives, where we feel stupid, we feel led on, we feel like we put all of our eggs in one basket and that basket's running away. Vanja has gotten a message from Bozo. He wants to meet her. She wishes to, you know, tell him to F off, but I know why she's meeting him. She wants closure, and I completely understand that.
I would like to invite you on friendly lunch.
I did think it was a little funny that Bozo had to make sure to put the word friend on that voice memo. He's like, friend, just to make sure she understands this is not a romantic meetup. This is a friendship meetup.
And I'm hoping whatever happens that she's open for that we can be friends.
Sorry, but I do not stay friends with my exes. No. And of course, Vanja is not gonna want to stay friends with you.
I'm just still very confused because, you know, like, what was the purpose of me coming here?
He just wanted her to come those 3 weeks and have fun. And he just wanted her to see, you know, around the city, I guess.
I'm sorry that you came here and I disappointed you.
She also reminds him that she came here to pursue a relationship, to create a connection, to do all these things. And, you know, why would he say, I love you? Why would he tell her to come over here if he didn't really mean it? And Bozo's like, no, I never said I love you. I never did. But guess what? My girl Vanja has motherfucking receipts.
Follow you, but thank you, my love. I love you. And I said, oh, we agreed there too. And I love you too.
And what is his response? What is his response, people? This.
That is on me. That is on me. Sorry. Then it means I love you, obviously.
For some reason or another, Bozo thinks that is extremely funny that he said I love you in the past and then at the moment decided to deny that he ever did. Don't know why he thinks that's so freaking funny, but it isn't.
It feels like you've always felt this way about me. Then there was never more for you than what I thought there was.
Bozo tries to say that he did have a connection with her in the past, or, you know, through the phone, online, all these things.
I got scared I will not be able to keep up with.
He also brings up the fact that when they first met each other in person, her energy was too much for him. The fact that she was so affectionate. I do not think that it was just because of how affectionate Vanja is. I think it was because she's too much for him, as I said many times in the past. This conversation honestly doesn't really get anywhere other than he just didn't feel it there. And he apologizes again. If Vanja takes his apology, then I guess we'll take his apology.
Because you didn't even give us a chance. You shut it down immediately on day one.
He also asks her if they can continue to be friends. And Vanja tells him no, which I love and I appreciate that so much because it is so important for people to create boundaries. And if she would have been like, oh yeah, let's be friends, where are the boundaries there? Where do they go? At the same time, I also want to knock some sense into Vanja and make her realize that that man had already showed you one time that you were not enough for him. That is all we get for those two. Now let's move on to the next couple. My favorite. Brian and Ingrid. Yay! Yay. Brian and Ingrid are on their way to a date where they're going to be meeting one of Brian's friends. And this date is going to go amazing.
When Ingrid says that she didn't want to be anybody's mother or babysitter.
My feelings really got hurt and I wanted to call my mom and ask her if she could just come and cuddle. He cannot count on Ingrid to take care of him. Seconds after that, Ingrid is pushing him up the ramp. But he can't count on her, guys. Of course, no. Ingrid would never take care of him. Ingrid and Brian arrive to meet second Brian.
So obviously he's had relationships in Brazil. Women like Brian.
Second Brian tells us that Brian is very good with women and that he is handsome. You know, he has a great story to tell. But that he has always wanted him to find the right woman. And he hopes that this is going to be the case.
So where have you come from tonight?
Well, we're not staying together, right?
And that was not even the question. They asked you, where do you guys come from right now? At no point did he ask you, hey, are you guys sleeping on the same bed together? So why are you even bringing that up, Brian?
I think for me, it's important to respect her privacy.
Isn't it funny that the same guy that's talking about respecting her privacy was also the same guy that showed up at her house unannounced and then got all pissy when she didn't want to be intimate with him? Brian proceeds to tell his friend that unfortunately he's not sleeping in the same room with Ingrid and that he just feels a little weird, a little off about the situation, but he's going to respect her space, her privacy, her body autonomy, right? Friend asks Brian if they have any plans for the future, and Brian proceeds to tell us
I got some things to take care of.
Things to do, yeah, I think with your ex then?
Yeah, for the divorce.
Brian also tells us that he was married to a girl from Brazil.
After a few months, I realized that she was just using me for the green card.
Now, I take Brian's words as nothing. You guys can go ahead and believe him on what he says about his wife, about his ex-wife or wife at this point because they're still married. But I also seen some of the things that have come out about him that Kiki and Kivitz has covered. So honestly, I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth.
I definitely don't take marriage lightly anymore. I've been married 4 times.
It's good that he added any more to his sentence because if not, I would have ripped this man a good one because what in the world do you mean? I take marriage serious now. So before you didn't? And what makes me believe that you're going to take this marriage seriously? Someone that has been married 4 times, 5 times, maybe you should sit down in front of a mirror and look at the problem because it's right there in front of you.
Pasé 3 veces nessa.
Huh?
here's another secret that Brian has been keeping because he didn't think of sharing with Ingrid that he has been married 4 times in the past. And then the stupid thing he does when she questions him, she's like, what?
Quantas, Brad?
3. Não.
He holds his hand up and counts the fingers for her as if to call her stupid. It is so ridiculous, and I'm trying really hard today to not be so upset. But I feel like because I didn't cover him last episode, I'm so mad. And Ingrid is questioning him, why didn't you tell me? And Brian, his excuse,
Sou livro aberto, só pergunta. Eu não mente nada.
She didn't ask him. This man just comes up with so many excuses to justify how deceiving and how horrible he is.
Por que tá sozinho? Tem algum defeito? Algum problema tem?
The problem is him, Ingrid. There is a common factor in all of this entire situation, and that is Brian. Brian is the goddamn problem. And he also shares with her that not only did he have 4 marriages, he had 3 engagements that didn't work out. And he's like, oh yeah, but I'm an open book. If you would have asked me, I would have told you. And I'm like, bro, let's not forget that for your introduction into the 90-day fiancé realm, you talked about being married multiple times, being engaged multiple times. So you could have shared that information with Ingrid. You just chose not to.
Tu falou pra todas elas a idade certa?
And he says yes. He says that the only person that he lied to was Ingrid, and that technically he didn't lie to her because he just put it on the app and he did tell her how old he was.
Era na internet, porque não queria mulher de 50 no meu perfil.
And Brian's excuse is that he didn't want to date a grandma. So it's okay for Brian not to get a grandma, but these girls have to get a grandpa.
Então por que agora ele já tá admitindo que pode sim ter lá no perfil 40?
Ingrid, after hearing this, is like, wait, so when we spoke last time and I confronted him about his age, he said that he was honest with me and that he never lied about his age. But right now he's admitting that he actually did.
I have a 31-year-old daughter. How the I'm gonna be 45.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that Brian's friend doesn't speak Portuguese as fluently as Brian does. So he has to translate some things. The entire time that this conversation has been taking place, Brian is choosing what to translate to the friend and what not to translate to the friend. And this is one of those situations where he actually turns around to Brian too.
She thought I was 45, but she tells me that she's not good with math.
And it proceeds to make her feel like she's at fault for being bad at math. Because he's like, oh yeah, you said that you're bad at math. You really think that it is Ingrid's fault? The fact that she didn't pull up a calculator and put in your daughter's age and then put your age and was like, oh yeah, Brian is definitely not 45. Brian is definitely lying. Maybe you should have been honest since the beginning. And then she wouldn't have to do that, right?
I was telling her sometimes.
Certo é falar a idade certa lá.
And of course, when Ingrid tells Brian that the correct thing is to be honest, he does his stupid face.
We have some things to think about and talk about.
Yeah.
Now everyone's getting ready to leave, but they do agree that there is a lot of things that they have to discuss in regards to this situation.
Isso me deixa na dúvida de quem que eu vou dividir.
Ingrid, once again, is starting to feel like he's playing her, or you know, he's just not being honest with her. And she's like, is this a person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? There's also a moment where Ingrid tells Brian, how do I know that I'm not just a number, that I'm not just another marriage, another engagement? And instead of Brian reassuring her and telling her, you know, that is not the case, I want to be with you for the rest of my life, he proceeds to tell her,
De noivado, de
Vai saber até o futuro, né?
What type of reassurance is that when you're trying to get your partner that has been lying to you for months to tell you that they really, really do want to be in a relationship with you and not lie to you?
The fact that Ingrid keeps judging me on my past, she's just not going to stop judging me.
And of course, this becomes about Brian, about him feeling judged, about how hurt he is.
I mean, we're going in a circle, and I wish she would judge me for my current actions and not my past.
His argument is that Ingrid should be judging him for what he's doing now. And if that is the case, Brian, trust me, you are doing a horrible job.
I was hoping to leave here with our relationship stronger than ever.
The only reason why you're being judged for your past is because it relates to your present life right now. We are not judging you just for fun, okay? I actually have a really unpleasant time watching your segments. So yeah, but that is all we get for those two. Now let's move over to Loren and Faith. Today is Faith's and Loren's last day in Leyte. She says that after talking to her sister, her sister told her that there's more goods than bads in her relationship with Loren, which makes me extremely sad to have to hear that, because she deserves more than that. And I understand that it's because her sister feels like they'll never be able to find someone that loves them because they're transgender, and that sucks ass.
English version, it's chicken intestine, east out.
And I know I've said many times that I would try every single food in the world, but I feel like I would definitely not want to try this one.
So how was hanging out with your sisters last night? It was good?
We talk about, we laugh a lot,
They talk about me?
And Faith tells him that they really like him. We know why they like him. It's the fact that they feel like they can't get anything better than Loren, and that is depressing.
You cheated on me again.
You think
sleeping
so?
Other girls.
I'm not gonna be cheating on you.
Loren says that it was due to the fact that there was miscommunication on their end, which is not true. You're a freaking liar. And he also says that because now he has Faith, he wouldn't have any other reasons to cheat on her, which I don't believe.
You broke my heart. That's why it's very hard to think and to trust.
For Faith, it feels really nice to finally see a more sincere side of Loren, and she feels like she can finally trust him again. I just have a feeling that Loren is going to let Faith down once again, and I wish that was not the case, but I don't believe this man at all. Then Loren proceeds to tell her that he really loves her and that there's no one else that he loves in this world other than her. And then he asks her if they can finally become boyfriend and girlfriend.
Am I still friend Loren, or can I be boyfriend Loren?
My boyfriend.
For real?
For real.
Sex
And
marriage.
now that Loren's master plan is finally working, he's wasting no time to let her know that he is ready to get married. Loren's first idea is that they go over to Thailand and they get married there because same-sex marriage is legal there, and then they come back and then they apply for his citizenship and he's able to stay here with Faith. His second plan is the most stupidest plan I heard in my life.
What if I just marry your mom?
What?
Yeah.
My mom?
Your mom. She's single.
And I think what makes me more angry about this is that Faith didn't have the same reaction that I would have had, which is probably slap him across the face. What do you mean you want to marry my mother? Even if it's a joke, it is such a ridiculous and stupid idea. Also, why would you admit to marriage fraud on national TV?
It makes me feel like he cares more to stay in the Philippines instead of marry me.
After Faith hears this, she has to really take in all the words that Loren said, and it is difficult for her to understand that at the end of the day, what he really wants is her, because it seems more like what he wants is to come to the Philippines, which he has made clear since the beginning of the season.
Your effort, it's so very appreciated on me, but of course, I need more some time.
Back at her house, Faith shares with us that karaoke is actually very popular in the Philippines. It's so popular that almost every single person has a machine in their house, but there is a curfew. You cannot be singing after 10 p.m. Faith and her entire family are singing right now, having a great time, and Loren is about to ruin that because he ruins everything. Mom asked both of them what their status is. How are you guys today? And of course, Loren wastes no time.
And so one of the plans, right, is I move here. Maybe temporary, maybe forever, maybe later.
And when Faith's sisters bring up the fact that it's extremely difficult to get a job here, Loren proceeds to tell us that he can do anything that he sets his mind to. What he doesn't understand is that he's gonna get paid in Filipino currency, which is not US dollars. And it's not going to be the same thing. If you thought that you were struggling back in the States, watch what's going to happen once you move to the Philippines.
I would marry Faith's mom.
Si Mama, magkasal lang duha.
When mom hears this, she's like, what in the world are you talking about? She's laughing because, of course, that will be the only way that I can cope with something so stupid. And especially if it's coming from someone that is dating my daughter, I would probably start laughing in their face.
They just met him. We're not engaged yet, and it's a lot.
Faith, on her confessional, shares that she feels pressured by Loren because he decided to bring this up in front of her family, which is what I brought up a couple seconds ago. She had already expressed to you that she needed time to think about this entire situation and these two plans that you have. And then here you are talking about the situation like it's not a big deal. Like she didn't tell you that she needed time.
But Faith seems hesitant about discussing marriage plans.
Don't forget that you guys just got back into a relationship a couple of hours ago, and you're already thinking about marriage when you have already betrayed her multiple times, but you want her to want to marry you within a couple seconds? You're insane. But that is all we get for Loren and Faith. Now let's move over to the last couple. Day by day, I'm getting more worried about Matilda and Niles' relationship, and it's because more lies start to come out, and I just wish that you guys didn't lie to one another. Matilda and Niles are enjoying their breakfast, and this is when Matilda brings up, you have to talk to Mr. Ark for the knocking ceremony, because as we know, we need to get the parents' approval, and since Niles' parents don't approve of his relationship with Matilda, we need an elder in the community, and that is Mr. Ark.
He's an elderly person, so you have to tell him everything, and he will show you the way.
Finding out about the existence of Mr. Ark does make me wonder why Mr. Ark was not there when Niles had to talk to Matilda's family, because I feel like that would have helped them a lot, and more than anything, just understand how to navigate that situation.
He is a tough man to please, and I hope Niles can handle himself.
As we know, she doesn't have that good of a relationship with Mr. Ark, and she hopes that he's going to say yes because they're not following the traditions. And it's just a whole mess all around. And later on, Matilda and Niles make their way to Mr. Ark's home. And when Niles arrives, he tries to shake Mr. Ark's hand. And
Hi, Mr. Ark.
How? Well, welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
Don't worry.
Niles is already nervous because he's like, oh, great. I didn't make a good first impression, and now how is this meeting gonna go? He's not gonna like me anymore. But Mr. Ark was like, don't worry about it. This is the first time that you and I meet, so it's not a problem. I'm really happy to see you. He tells him, let's just get to business. What is the reason that you're here? Niles tells him that he would like for him to represent him as his father because his parents are not there.
I'm here as a father, but I have a lot to talk to you about marriage.
And you can tell that Mr. Ark is willing to do this, but he has a lot of opinions, and he wants to make sure that Niles understands what it is going to be like to marry a Ghanaian girl. Everything is going great up until the point where Niles tells Mr. Ark that he wants to do the knocking ceremony, go home, and then come back.
Coming to perform knocking and go back for it. No, you don't want to do that. It's a problem in Ghana.
Because that is not how we do our traditions here. If you do the knocking ceremony and then leave to the US, then you risk losing your wife because someone else might take her.
If you knock, you go, somebody can take Matilda as a wife.
And I was like, wait, what? As we know, Matilda is in love with Niles, and there's no possible way that I could see someone else coming into her life and taking her away because of the time between the knocking ceremony and the actual wedding.
I would never ever tolerate that. I'm serious about what I'm saying.
You can start to see why Matilda was worried about meeting Mr. Ark. He is going to abide by his customs and his culture and the rules of where they are, and he's going to make sure that Niles does the same
I would never do that. I would never allow that. And it's never done it anywhere.
He's also taking his father role extremely serious. He is not messing around with this.
I didn't know that just doing the knocking is not acceptable in Ghanaian culture.
So this is the time where he tells Mr. Ark that he would like to have a conversation with him privately. And I think because Niles has had a lot of concerns. And after that conversation, I started to realize why Matilda didn't have Mr. Ark with Niles when they went to talk to her parents. Now that Niles and Mr. Ark have stepped away, Mr. Ark tells Niles that he did not respect him as a father figure. And this is when Niles starts apologizing and telling him that from now on, he's going to ask him and consult him before he makes any decisions or before he does anything whatsoever. I do find the power dynamic a little bit concerning, but I could also understand why Niles is counting on someone like Mr. Ark to support him through this process and help him understand a little bit better what, you know, the culture is like. Mr. Ark also shares with Niles that he wants to talk to the family first and negotiate everything that has already happened. But then when he asks him if he has already talked to the family and Niles says yes,
Kumasi and they
extremely upset about it because he's like, oh my God. And I think what Mr. Ark is thinking is, what did this boy already promise to him? Because the entire point of Mr. Ark being his father figure is for him to be able to talk to the family and come into, you know, a negotiation of what Niles needs to do, what Matilda needs to do. And with Mr. Ark not being able to be there, there's really no one there to speak up for Niles other than Niles himself. And we've seen that Niles at times can, you know, be very quiet.
If anything bad against you, I'll be held responsible.
Now, Mr. Ark has to be responsible for whatever Niles says. So if he, at the end of the day, doesn't fulfill his end of the promise, then Mr. Ark is going to be shamed because of it. Niles feels like he can finally trust someone, and he finally has someone that can tell him, hey, you know, maybe this is too much, or maybe people are lying to you. And this is when he decides to tell Mr. Ark that Matilda wants him to throw a huge ceremony for the knocking door, and Mr. Ark right away.
I also had to make sure there was enough food for her friends and for her cousins.
He knows that this is not the way that this is supposed to play out. A knocking ceremony does not need 50, 40, 90 people to attend because it's a knocking ceremony.
And I had to get gifts for all of her siblings.
And in my eyes, I already know that Matilda wants this to be a big ceremony because the wedding got canceled and she had already told a bunch of people that it was gonna happen. So now she's trying to compensate for it.
Never once did I hear her say that I needed to have someone like Mr. Ark guide me through this process.
She knows damn well that if Niles talks to Mr. Ark, he's going to hear that actually the knocking ceremony expenses were not necessary.
I'm beginning to think that there could be some truth to what they were worried about.
Niles is starting to doubt if this is exactly what his parents warned him about, that Matilda was taking advantage of him and that, you know, things were not going to play out the way that he thought they were going to. And I personally don't think that Matilda is taking advantage of him. I think Matilda is selfish and wants something out of the situation. Niles promised a marriage and he didn't meet his end of the promise. And Matilda wants to get something out of this, which at least is going to be the knocking ceremony. She already feels like she has been disgraced because Niles postponed the wedding. And now imagine to have the knocking ceremony canceled. Like, I know that she's breaking the customs and she's breaking tradition, but sometimes traditions are meant to be broken.
I wanted to trust Matilda and I made a mistake.
Mr. Ark has now decided to have a conversation with Matilda, Niles, and his wife is also there, but she doesn't really say anything. While they're there, Niles turns to Matilda and asks her if she knew that Mr. Ark had to be there from the beginning. And she's like, yeah, I did, but because you canceled the wedding, I wanted you to talk to my family first so they could understand why the wedding was canceled.
Do you know how this makes me look? Do you know how this makes you look?
Because now Matilda's coming off as a liar, which, yes, she did lie. And now Niles is coming off as someone that cannot take accountability.
And I needed him to explain to my family why that happened. How can you put the blame on me?
Niles tells Matilda that he was told he had to have food for the ceremony. And Matilda's like, who told you that? My family didn't tell you that. And Niles is like, well, you told me that.
Simply put, when things like this happen, we have drama.
So they start arguing with one another. And this is when Mr. Ark steps in and he's like, we have to be gentle. We're not about to start an argument here. And I do appreciate that even though Mr. Ark can be stern, he didn't just ignore Matilda. He didn't just disregard her feelings. He was like, let's just settle down.
Niles is lying. Niles,
Matilda, even though your family didn't tell Niles that he had to bring money or that he had to, put the food for the ceremony, you did. Your family told you and you delivered those news to Niles. You also had multiple conversations with your friends, with your family members, where you said that Niles had to put up the money.
Simply put, when things like this happen, we have drama. We had issues.
Matilda did apologize to Niles for what happened and for her not being transparent with him. But at the end of the day, it's what are you going to do to make up for this situation? Mr. Ark also tells Niles that this is non-negotiable. They're gonna have to do the knocking ceremony and the wedding the same day if he wants to get married to Matilda.
If we really accept traditional marriage, we will stand on behalf of our parents and perform. If we really accept traditional marriage, we will stand on behalf of our parents and perform. See to that we perform my custom marriage.
I hope that Niles and Matilda's family and everyone understands that it is way too soon for them to get married. Maybe we can still have, a little dinner and celebrate the fact that you guys finally got to meet one another. But it is way too soon for a ceremony. It is way too soon for you guys to get married. And I hope that they can, just process all of that. I had just finished my video and then realized that there was an entire part missing from Niles and Matilda's segment. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to go back and watch this part and talk about this part because it is so significant to their segment. Right after they meet Mr. Ark, Niles is in the car with Matilda. They're going back home. You can tell that he was really taken back from all the things that he heard from Mr. Ark. At this point, the doubts that, his parents have expressed and the doubts that he has had in the back of his head have only intensified. Since Mr. Ark has shared with him that all these monetary things for the ceremony are not necessary and that it should be a small thing, he's just like, Matilda lied to me. She told me that the ceremony had to be so big and that so many people had to come, but that is not the case. Like Mr. Ark is saying all of this. I do think that Niles is holding Mr. Ark to a level of what's the word that I'm trying to use? But Niles is thinking of Mr. Ark as someone that can do no wrong, someone that, his word is the law. And I get it, but I think he's only doing it because he needed an out of the situation. And Mr. Ark is the out. Niles reminds Matilda that at no point did she ever tell him how important it was for Niles to see Mr. Ark first. And Matilda's like, no, I did tell you that you had to talk to him and that you had to see him. And it's difficult to understand who was right in the situation because I do feel like Matilda did share that information with Niles. I just don't think she was super clear about what needed to happen. And I also know that Matilda wanted it to happen like that because, of course, if Mr. Ark would have shown up to the meeting between Niles and Matilda's parents, then we know that the knocking ceremony wouldn't happen the way that she wanted to happen. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with Matilda wanting a fancy knocking door ceremony. That's just my opinion, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that because I know that everyone feels so different about this entire situation. Matilda feels disgraced again. We have to keep in mind that while Niles and Matilda were talking to Mr. Ark, Matilda wasn't really saying anything, and she was just allowing Niles to express his feelings and more than anything kind of just blame her. But at no point did Niles ever bring up the fact that he proposed to Matilda and that he was supposed to come here and get married, and he lied about that, and that he had also made the promise to her entire family, not just Matilda. So it's a complete, like, it's such a complicated situation at this point, and I just feel like we would have never gotten to this place if they would have just communicated their needs to one another instead of just thinking, you know, what's going to happen. According to Niles, he says is that Matilda should have told him about the importance of Mr. Ark being there before everything happened. But Matilda's like, I did tell you about that. He tells her that, you know, because of his autism and because he doesn't understand the culture or the customs or anything that's happening, that should have been more clear to him. And I do agree with him on that. I do feel like there should have been more communication in regards to how important it was. But again, I think Matilda did it on purpose. I think she just wanted Mr. Ark not to be there because that would have ruined everything. Niles also tells her that, you know, he's saying that the ceremony doesn't have to be this big, so why are we having so many people over? And again, I think that is because Matilda already feels like she's letting down so many people because the wedding didn't happen. And now you have to tell everyone that was going to show up at the wedding that there's no wedding. So of course she wants to compensate. Matilda is yelling at Niles, and Niles is getting so angry. Like, I've never seen Niles this angry. You can physically see it through his face, how upset he is about the situation. He's starting to have a lot of doubts about this relationship. And I just feel so bad for both of them. Niles is always so careful with how he proceeds with his conversations that at the end of the day, he doesn't ask the right questions. Or if he has a concern, he rather just let it go and not say anything. And I get it that it's because he's autistic. But at the same time, you're trying to be in a relationship with Matilda, and Matilda has been extremely accommodating to your needs. So, yeah, as we already know, money has always been an issue between couples. And in this instance, Matilda's like, dude, $200 is nothing. You should be able to have those $200 to pay for the food. It's not even for the ceremony. It's not even for the celebration. It is for the food to feed all these people. But of course, we see that Niles is not rich. He doesn't have $200 to just dispose of. Matilda's trying to tell Niles that this is not about money, that she doesn't want his money, that she has never asked him for any help. But she's also yelling at him. And by saying all of these things, Niles is starting to become more upset. And that is when he turns around and he tells her, you need to stop talking right this instant. And I mean, I just think both of them are super angry. I think this is one of those moments where both of you walk away from this conversation and come back later when both of you are more calm, because it is not the time right now. Matilda feels disgraced and Miles feels lied to. And again, I feel like he was looking for an out so he wouldn't have to spend the money for the ceremony, and this is it. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode, because it looks like Niles is contemplating ending the relationship or ending the marriage. I don't know. Like, I didn't expect for their relationship to get to this point. I actually thought that they were one of the strongest couples. And to see that maybe this is going to be the end, it just breaks my heart. Like, I do not want to see them end. But if that is what they decide to do, then that is their choice. For the next episode, it looks like we're going to see Vanja getting hit on by a guy that is in a relationship. I feel like Vanja is a magnet for bad guys. Oh, we're gonna see Magda question Joey about the girl that he slept with. And I don't know, I'm just a little concerned about how much she wants to know about the things that he did, because she's gonna, you know, think about it in the back of her head. It's gonna be there the entire time, because once you know about those things, they don't really leave your head. And I think I might start covering Tiger Lily and Adnan on the next episode. It looks like Tiger Lily is actually extremely upset because she has to get in a pool with a full-on bathing suit and she's not happy about it. Again, here we go with the double standards, but she did not know what she was getting herself into, and she's waking up. She's definitely waking up. But that is going to be all for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving and you spend it with your loved ones, your friends. And I hope you guys have a great day. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and to let me know your thoughts on this episode. Bye. No va.